Ireland's Deputy Prime Minister has said the government's Brexit proposals are unacceptable as they stand, while the EU has described them as bad ideas that have been repackaged. So, can they be the basis for a Brexit deal? Joining us from Westminster is Lord Jones, the former Trade Minister and former head of the Confederation of British Industry. Lord Digby Jones, thanks for joining us on the programme. What do you make of it all?
Hello. Well, I actually find it very encouraging. There are three constituencies here, really, aren't there? There are the people of Britain, and I get round the country, small businesses, big businesses, different sectors, people who work in those businesses as well as own them, and they've all had enough. And all of us in the Westminster bubble are completely disconnected with what the country actually wants. They want it sorted, they want it delivered, they've had enough. And I think anybody in the House of Commons or in the House of Lords should just for once lift their eyes up to a horizon that goes past Westminster. So they're one constituency that's going to welcome this, I reckon. The second one is the House of Commons. And in there, and I thought your piece just before we went to that very brave Alex in Hong Kong, the piece there, I thought the analysis there was absolutely right, which is that bit by bit Boris can bring the different parties back into, I won't say into line, I think that's insulting, but certainly seeing the worth of trying to get this deal through. So quite a few members of the European Union Reform Group, the ones who are hardline, the 21 who walked the floor on the extension bill, they'll come back. There'll be quite a few Labour, you know, who aren't necessarily Brexiteers, but who are going to think, if we go into a constituency and say we were to blame for not getting it done when everybody else was there, we might lose our jobs. I think there'll be quite a few Labour MPs who, at the end of the day, will refuse any obstructive whip from Corbyn on the point of let's bring down this government, let's do anything to hurt the Tories, that sort of argument, a domestic agenda, if you like. And I think they will see it in a wider picture, hope so. And then, of course, you've got the DUP in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, who have actually said, yeah, we can work with this. And then you've got the third one, Kay, and this is the one that you referred to in your intro, and that is the European Union. Now, the one thing that has been a characteristic of negotiations, and indeed the personalities involved, from Michel Barnier to Jean-Claude Juncker and Donald Tusk, the one thing they've never wanted to do is be blamed. They want all the blame to be on Britain. You voted to come out, you take the consequence, you come here with an offer, it's not our fault. There's a lot of that, and it's subliminal. They don't ever use words like that, but that is where they are. And what is happening is you're seeing the EU being manoeuvred into a position where they will be seen as the blockage. And that is a place they don't want to be. And so quite how Berlin, because, you know, Berlin bosses Europe, they pay the piper, they call the tune. It's not an anti-German thing to say. They're good people. But they do pay the piper and they do call the tune. Quite how Berlin gets Paris to agree, and then especially the two of them together get Dublin to agree, so that the Taoiseach Varadkar can actually come to understand that there is a practical application here of all the words and all the clauses. There's a practical way through this that Northern Ireland agreed to. If they can put the pressure on there, and if the Council of Ministers on the 16th, 17th October can say, we can see this working, because we don't want to be blamed for the 31st of October Armageddon, then I can see this happening. I can actually see something happening by the 31st. And did any of us, you, me, or anybody else, ever think that a couple of weeks ago?
What a very fulsome answer. Thank you for that. But, you know, the bottom line is we've got a problem with the Northern Ireland border, the border between Northern Ireland and the rest of Ireland. That can only be fixed with either a border being put back in place or a backstop. Or is there another alternative?
Well, yeah, I don't quite agree with your conclusion. There is a choice, because what is now being proposed is, yes, a bit of technology, but actually a different status for Northern Ireland to the rest of Britain for a period of time, whilst a border can be developed that doesn't involve a border, if you like, a physical border.
Let me interrupt you. I allowed you to give me a full answer in the first one.
Sure.
And that is, the DUP say no thank you.
Well, the DUP actually haven't said no thank you. But what they are, and indeed what Ireland is saying is, can we trust this to work? And I'd make one plea for that, Kay, actually, which is why not let the businesses, the businesswomen and the businessmen, big business, small business, on either side of the Northern Irish-Ireland border, let it work, make it work, get it to work. Business is innovative. They spend their careers making sure that they can wade through stuff and get it to happen. And in that respect, to come up with this different idea so that they actually can have one customs union and then out with the UK for a period of time, business can make the practical application of this work. Now, and I would just ask politicians, the trouble with politicians is, you know, they don't understand business, they don't understand how it works. More importantly, very few of them have actually worked in it. So they sort of just think, oh no, this won't work. I trust the businesses in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, and in Northern Ireland, and in the UK, and frankly in the rest of Europe, to make this work. Because it's in their interest, and if it's in their interest, they make money. If they make money, they pay tax. If they pay tax, you and I get another school and hospital.
OK, so we did speak to a business owner on the border, and he said his interpretation with this two-border rule would be, as you know, it has to be approved every 4 years. It's doubling of the red tape, and for many businesses, that's just too much.
Well, that's two conclusions. The first one, it's a doubling of red tape. I agree. I would say that it's only for a period of time. This is not forever. It'll all get sorted out in the transition as we move through and into a trading agreement for everywhere. And if you get a quality trading agreement between the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland, and the rest of Europe, all of this goes away because the trading agreement will contain provisions for how it works. And by then, the UK will be out. So it's not forever. But the second point, which is, and they don't want extra red tape and extra bureaucracy, I actually agree with them. I get the complaint. All I would say to them is, you can deal with that in the short term. It'll annoy you, frustrate you, but you can deal with it because the alternative is worse.
OK. Lord Digby Jones, good to talk to you as always. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.